Creatine monohydrate is stable in dry powder form for years when stored correctly. What correctly means is more specific than most people realize, and getting it wrong can meaningfully reduce the potency of what you're taking. The main enemy of creatine stability is moisture. Creatine monohydrate is hygroscopic. It absorbs water from the surrounding air. When creatine absorbs significant moisture, it begins to convert to creatinine, its degradation product, at an accelerated rate. Creatinine is inert from a performance standpoint. It's what your kidneys excrete, not what your muscles use. A tub of creatine that's been repeatedly exposed to humid air, left open in a bathroom, stored near a sink, or opened and closed frequently in a humid climate, is slowly degrading to a less potent form, even if it still smells fine and looks fine. The visual and olfactory signs of creatine degradation are subtle. Clumping is one indicator. When creatine absorbs moisture, individual particles aggregate into lumps. Some clumping in humid environments is normal and doesn't mean the creatine is ruined, but severe clumping can indicate meaningful moisture exposure. A change in taste, from nearly flavorless to slightly bitter, can indicate significant creatinine formation. Temperature is less of a concern than humidity within normal ranges. Creatine monohydrate is thermally stable up to temperatures significantly higher than typical room temperature. A supplement cabinet in an air-conditioned room is fine. A supplement that spent weeks in a hot car is a different story. Not because heat alone is particularly damaging at moderate temperatures, but because hot environments are often humid ones, and the moisture is the actual problem. Direct sunlight exposure, particularly through a clear or translucent container, doesn't degrade creatine significantly at room temperature either. UV light isn't the mechanism of degradation. Moisture is. The solution is straightforward. Store creatine in a sealed, airtight container in a cool and dry location. A kitchen cupboard away from the stove and sink or a bedroom drawer is adequate for most climates. In very high humidity environments, tropical climates, monsoon seasons, keeping the container sealed tightly and considering a small silica gel, desiccant packet inside the container offers additional protection. Pre-dissolving creatine in water and leaving it to sit is another stability risk. Creatine in solution, particularly at low pH, converts to creatinine faster than dry powder. If you mix creatine in water, drink it promptly. Pre-mixing and refrigerating overnight is marginal at best and pointless at worst. The degradation rate in cold water is slower than in warm water, but still faster than in dry powder form. The practical protocol? Buy creatine in smaller quantities if you live in a humid climate and can't guarantee airtight storage. Use a measuring spoon rather than scooping directly from the container with wet hands. Seal the container after every use. These are low-effort habits that protect what you're paying for. One question that comes up frequently is whether the form of creatine matters for stability. Whether creatine HCl or Crealkaline is more stable than monohydrate in various storage conditions. The marketed claim is that these forms are more stable at low pH, which in theory means they resist conversion to creatinine in acidic environments like the stomach. The practical evidence doesn't show that this stability advantage translates to better outcomes. Creatine monohydrate, when stored properly in dry powder form, is already highly stable and remains potent for years under reasonable conditions. The pH stability of alternative forms is irrelevant to dry storage and offers only marginal benefit in the brief transit through the stomach. What does matter for long-term stability is moisture exposure. And on that dimension, all powdered creatine forms behave similarly. Crealkaline's buffered formulation doesn't prevent moisture absorption. Creatine HCl, which is more water-soluble than monohydrate, may actually be more prone to stability issues in humid conditions because it dissolves more readily into absorbed moisture. The best stability practice remains the same regardless of form: airtight container, dry location, minimal moisture exposure. And the best form remains creatine monohydrate. Not for stability reasons, but because it has the most research, the lowest cost per effective dose, and proven equivalence or superiority to every alternative tested head-to-head in human performance studies. The takeaway is simple. Creatine monohydrate, stored properly, is one of the most stable and reliable supplements available, and the stability practices that protect it are straightforward enough that there's no good reason to allow avoidable degradation.